Greetings, fellow barbarians. It is I, Alan Odinson, and this is the Barbarian Lounge podcast. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. As always, we got a cool show lined up for you. Took a bit of a hiatus last week, and honestly, the reason that happened was because of my patrons. I promise everybody that they will not be charged more than 8 shows per month, and I was working ahead of schedule last month. So because I caught up, and when I make a promise to them, I keep it. Since I caught up, I was like, well, I'll take this week kind of off just to not end up overcharging anybody, and I'll just come back stronger the following week. So here I am. I apologize to our networks and everything that had to run encores, but hey, it's what it is, guys. As I've said it many, many times, and I'll say it here again, if you are not a member, you don't get preferential treatment. That's just the way it goes, man. The members are the ones that put the skin in the game. So if that's not you, then sorry, you're gonna have to wait, right? So let's get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way before we get started. First off, our website is thebarbarianlounge.com. Go there, check it out. We recently, over this time being off, actually made some updates to the site. Several updates. First off, we updated our archive section. We updated the interview section. In updating the archive section, you're actually going to start seeing some of the older archives disappear, and those are going to be moving behind the paywall. And that's basically because, one, for a space standpoint, but for two, to be honest with you, that's a perk and benefit of the members. So I'm going to start moving. As I update the archives, things are going to start disappearing. We had probably about 30 shows disappear off the archives this time. They were moved behind the paywall for the members section. And there's going to be more of that happening. So if you're not a member, you're going to be missing out on those. I changed a few things on the website. We've added a media on our media section. There we've got like a rants and raves section. It's got some YouTube videos. I'm going to be updating that pretty soon. I'm kind of keep that going. Just put that on the plate with all the other things that I have to eat. We've added the several buttons so you can support the broadcast. The shop is still there. Articles has been kind of put in that rant and rave section, so there's sub menus now. You just have to go there, check it out, and see all the stuff we've done on the site. Been some updates on the front page, just a lot of different things. So go there, check out the site, and while you're there, I urge you, check out that shop button. You can pick up one of our Thuggy strangulation cords. We just sold several of those the other week. Those are all handcrafted by yours truly. If you listen to our episode on Thug Life about the Thuggy cult of India, you will see the significance in the design of those particular items. I know a lot of people, those have become a very, very popular tool for people who have to work in environments where your classical weaponry is not allowed. For our brethren across the seas, whose government has betrayed them, has opened the castle door to let the invaders come in. They've been disarmed, they've been disenfranchised by their government, and many of them are seeking ways to protect themselves, and we've sold quite a few to our brethren overseas, so shout out to you guys over there. The Barbarian Lounge sympathizes with you, and we are glad to know that maybe, just maybe, some of our tools can help make you more dangerous to the invading hordes of orcs that you're dealing with at the moment. Also, while you're there on the Barbarian Lounge, I urge you to check out our, I used to say check out our donate button, but that's been changed. Now it is a way for you to get in the fight. You click on that get in the fight button, and it is going to give you options that you can take in order to support this broadcast. There's no longer this donate shit, right? I removed the donate aspect of things because to say you're donating means you're just tossing money in just to say, hey, thanks, appreciate it, and everything. But guys, I've been telling you, this is a fight. This is refilling the war bonds here. You can purchase war bonds in the fight here. And you have two choices. You could support the fight, which is a one-time payment there, just a little drop in the hat to say, hey, thank you. We have a lot of people that use that. that they don't really they don't follow the membership route, so they just they'll hit that one-time PayPal button there and drop a little funds in the coffers here to keep us running, keep the steam flowing out of this engine. And then the other option is to get in the fight, and that is actually where you can become a member. That will take you to our Patreon page. When you click on that link, it'll take you to the Patreon page. If you don't know how that works, it's pretty simple. Basically, you do a per show basis. You are charged on a per show basis. A lot of people do $2. Some people do $1. The minimum amount is $1. But you get a lot of perks and benefits as being a member. That is our member site. All the things that are disappearing behind the paywall, that's where they're going. Okay? When you go there, you have access to our complete archives. There's a couple shows missing that I'm looking to re-upload now. I had some of my patrons from before, some of our loyal followers have provided those for me because they were lost during our double hack attacks last month. I'm sorry, not last month, last year. Jesus Christ. But when you become a member, you have access to complete archives. You also have access to all of our 4 regular shows early. They drop ahead of time, ahead of the listing that goes up on iTunes and the website and all those things like that. The other perk and benefit that you have is that you gain access to our members-only shows. We do 4 members-only shows each month. So not only will you have access to all those 4 shows that are coming, that most of you guys are missing half the show. We're up in the upper 60s, about to cross 70 line in members-only shows. So while I just crossed the 100-show marker, man, we're damn near 200 shows into this thing. Okay? But you got full access to all of those shows in our archive of the members-only shows, plus all the new members-only shows that come out. So it's a win-win situation. You support the broadcast. I only charge you for what I do. So if I don't work, this isn't a monthly thing. This isn't like you pay a 1-month thing and I just do however much I want to. No, I charge you by how much I work. So if I don't put in the work, you don't get charged, plain and simple. That's the easiest way to do it. That's the most safe way to do it. From a money standpoint, it's probably not the smartest thing on my part, but I want my members to get value. I want them to get value in what I'm offering here. And that's the way I can keep myself honest and keep them honest as well. So go there, become a member, man. Support your local podcasters. This is not some elaborate get rich quick scheme, right? This isn't I don't care what Joe Rogan tells you. This isn't a way to get a shit ton of money, all right? And we're not making an assload of money per show like a lot of these guys. Why? Because our message is not towing the line. We're not towing the line of all these other guys out there that are pushing the system's talking points, okay? We're not out there getting money from these organizations. We're not getting money from George Soros and all these other groups out there. We are here with you. I'm sitting behind this mic, and that's all it is. It's right now. Without you guys, without the members, I'm just one man crying into the darkness hoping somebody hears me. I need an army willing to stand with me, to offer support, to keep this cause going. So I urge you all, get in the fight. No longer, we are way past the time of standing on the sidelines. I know everybody thinks that that's the option. You just stand on the sidelines and listen to me rant and rave on here a little bit. But there's going to come a point that you're going to have no choice but to stand up. When that point comes, it will probably be too late. The time is now. The time is now, my brethren. A few other things that keep this show running. Our sponsors, Odinson Archery, traditional bows made from non-traditional materials. The 2018 line is getting ready to come out. We're counting down right now, the first week of June. Odinson Archery will be at Blade Show. So if you want to meet me, hang out, and see some of the new stuff I got going on, I will be there all weekend. So come there, hang out with me, hang out in the pit. We'll drink some rum and have some fun, man. It's always a pretty fun experience there. So that's coming up in June. So if you ever wanted to get into the Brotherhood of the Bow, Odinson Archery is the most cost-effective means of doing so. There's a lot of people that are selling their product for you know, they'll put it out there as being top notch and this and that, and they charge you, you know, $700 for a basic setup. Here at Odinson Archery, products have been reviewed by Recoil Magazine. There's stuff coming out soon in Self-Reliance Magazine. We've got lots of stuff out there. Odinson Archery is taking the world by storm right now. Find out, experience the difference. Check them out, OdinsonArchery.com. Our other sponsor, PTAFs. Yes, PTAFs with Aaron Cable. If you've ever wanted to get in shape, lose those winter poundage, right? Lose some of that spare tire you got around your waist. Get fit, get in shape. But this isn't no easy way out. So if you think it's going to be some kind of magic pill that she's going to give you, you're wrong. It's going to require hard work, dedication, and perseverance on your part to get through it all. Plain and simple. You know, this isn't one of these little, I'm not here to peddle you bullshit, okay? Aaron Cable's the way to go for personal training online or in person, either way. But, you know, you want to get in shape, you want to get fighting fit. Her husband is a former professional fighter, a 6'7", 280-pound gorilla. That's right. And she's the one that's helped get him there, okay? He's leaning out right now, which is pretty awesome. But right now, I've been focusing a lot on my own personal health. I am down a little over 15 pounds. So, you know, we're putting in the work, man. It's time for you to do the same. There's a lot of things we don't have control over. Our health is one of them. So check them out. PTAFs. As always, there will be a link. But if you want to check out the website, it's p-tafs.com. PTAFs. Check out Aaron Cable. She will hook you up, get you eating right, get you strong, get you fit, get you ready, get you in fighting shape. Check them out. PTAFs.com. And I think that's about it. Just a quick shout out to our network, UCY.tv. If you guys aren't checking out UCY.tv, I urge you to do so. A lot of really good content on there, a lot of really good hosts. They've got a plethora of shows. And thank you, UCY, for being brave enough to carry the Barbarian Lounge. All right, guys, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this show here. So today I wanted to discuss something that I've been talking with a lot of people off and on, private conversations. With some of the guests I've had on, and there's a lot of people that I speak to off and on. I bounce ideas off of to see where they come from, because not everybody comes from the same point of view as I do. And the thought that's been clicking in my head recently is this. What sort of world do you want? Like, you know, we talk about the fall of empire. We talk about, you know, the American empire and New World Orders and all these things like that. And we talk about tribalism and, you know, going back to the tribal mentality, nationalism, all these different things. But at the end of the day, the question becomes, what kind of world do you want? What kind of world do you want around you? This is something that came up about a video I posted on the Barbarian Lounge Facebook page. If you haven't checked this out there, go there and click like to keep track of everything that goes on there. A lot of times, the content leading up to the show, I will post things there that kind of lead into this. So, you know, I like to tell a story, guys. So I will get the story started a lot of times on Facebook, and it'll carry over to this show, so you can kind of get an idea of the content I'm going to be discussing. But a lot of times with tribalism, and don't get me wrong, I am a fan of tribe. I will say that my understanding of tribe compared to some people, like Master Chim. Master Chim is like the tribe guy. And you know about tribe, you talk to Master Chim. And, you know, you guys probably heard him on episode 101. Good show. And my thing a lot of times with tribe is I find that tribe can create some of the best things in human beings, but also some of the worst things as well. A lot of times with tribe, I've talked many times about building the walls too high. You know, where you say, you know, we just worry about us and that's that, and, you know, fuck the rest of the world and everything. And I've talked about the dangers that can happen. We saw that a lot with tribes throughout history who have stood on their own against a rising empire and could never quite quell their shit and come together and realize if they come together and work together, they could stop them. But a lot of times, you know, if they're not fucking with me, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Well, slowly but surely, they pick off everyone around you, and by the time it gets to you, what's that old saying? There's no one left to stand for me, right? That tends to be the unfortunate fate of tribes. And yes, at times, we've seen instances of tribes having some sort of cohesion. But at the end of it all, most of the time, what we see is the empire crush them one by one. Because they don't really realize in time that, oh shit, things have gotten bad. So tribalism tends to create these lines of us and them, right? Us versus them. The tribe is the us. Everything outside the tribe, outside the walls, that's them. But what we find a lot of times is that it can also create, it might even create like a false sense of what them is. Because sometimes I'll hear people say, well, you know, let's say for instance in your state, right? Your state is trying to pass gun control, all right? Your state is trying to pass gun control, and there's these people pushing it, and you're like, well, you know, it's never going to happen, and, you know, there's no reason to even worry about this stuff right now. You know, hell with them. You know, I hear the thing, fuck their world. I hear that all the time. And I understand, like, the mentality and the mindset behind it, but from a practical standpoint, you are still part of the them, whether you choose to or not. I liken it to the idea of take a sheep, right? A sheep that's with a flock. If the sheep looks at his flock and says, "Man, these are a bunch of fuckheads here. I mean, forget this. I'm leaving, man. These guys are crazy." Then the sheep leaves the flock and joins another flock of people, and then he looks back at the old flock and mocks them for being followers. Look at you idiots following that farmer. Look, y'all, you guys are crazy. You know, look at you guys. You're nuts. I'm not part of your world, but yet they all live in the same farm, right? They fall under the same whim of the same master. So just because you're a part of this group, maybe you don't want to have anything to do with that group, but make no mistake about it. What affects them will probably affect you at some point either. Or, you know, think about those same sheep. They're sitting up there watching the other sheep. They're like, ha, look. They're grabbing them. They're fleecing them. Oh, they're going to send some of them to slaughter. Ha, stupid sheep. Ah, those idiots. I'm glad I left those group, man. I'm not part of them. Well, guess what? Once they're all gone, they're coming for you next there. So, it's important to understand that while we create lines of us versus them, we cannot delude ourselves into believing that we're somehow outside of the empire, right? Like, if you're inside the Roman Empire, in Rome's time, anything that affected the Roman Empire had ramifications that passed on to you. People will a lot of times quote to me about, you know, the barbarian tribes of Rome. How when Rome fell, you know, and these groups moved in, the Visigoths and everything, they moved into this area and sacked Rome and all this stuff. But a lot of times what people fail to understand is that when Rome fell, that was not the end of the Roman Empire. It was still around for quite a while. In the form of things like, you know, you have like the Byzantine Empire that was there. You have a lot of different... Rome did not, just from the fall of Rome, did not signal the end of the empire. It signaled a changing of the guard. But at the end of it all, Rome didn't really fall at that time. Plus, we also have to factor... People will use that as the argument for tribalism a lot of times. But we also have to think back as well. How many tribes were crushed under the Roman Empire on the way to its climb? Quite a few. So, we have to be mindful of these things. Yes, there is an aspect where tribes have been successful, but for the most part, civilization has done a damn good job. They have a high win percentage of crushing small tribes that could not get their shit together. And I say this for a reason. This will all come kind of full circle when I'm done. But there are levels to us and them, right? While I don't claim to be part of, part of the people in most of the cities, like some of the really trendy cities that are near me, those aren't my people, right? You know, when I'm in, let's say I stop at Starbucks for some god-awful reason, but let's say I stop at Starbucks and I say, I'm in there eating, and, you get coffee there, right? You can eat there too, but say I'm getting a coffee and I'm waiting on my coffee, and a guy comes in there and, and there's a bunch of fucking, trendy-ass, trans, cis, all these weird names there in the corner, and the guy walks in with a gun and he starts shooting everybody in the place. Those are not my people. But don't get me wrong, there are elements to us and them. There are levels to this. Because at that point, guess what? I'm part of that group. Okay? Because I can either do something to stop it, or it may come to me. Right? At the same time, am I going to stand there and watch all these people die? No, not planning on it. But the same thing, if I decide to take an apathetic role and just say, fuck these people, I don't care. There's problems that roll around, right? It's kind of like the old thing where, if you had a gun with one bullet in it, right? One bullet, there was a U.S. soldier, let's say you're like, fuck the military, right? You're one of those fucking people, right? You're like, the military industrial complex, blah, 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 So let's say, for instance, you have a gun with one bullet in it, and you have to shoot somebody. You can shoot a U.S. soldier, or you can shoot a member of ISIS. Who would you shoot? Right? If you were there, and you saw a member of ISIS attacking a lady on the corner, you don't know her from Adam. You've got a gun with one bullet, you can shoot, 100% kill him and save her life. Would you do it? If your answer is yes, then I hate to tell you, you are one of them. And that's just being realistic here. Okay? So, what basically brought all this up was I posted a video on the Barbarian Lounge Facebook page showing the Apple Store robbery that happened. Right? If you haven't seen the video, basically, there's a bunch of people in the Apple Store, and these hood rats come in and basically just start taking everything. Right? They take everything and leave. They didn't pull a gun, they didn't fire a shot, they didn't assault anybody that I saw. They just walked in, grabbed the shit, and left. And all these people just standing there watching them do it. Take it and leave. So I posted this video, and I'm like, all I simply said was, look, we have a problem here. And, I got varying responses. But the biggest question was, what do you do? Do you react? Do you do something? Well, the unfortunate truth to that is I cannot give you a 100% response to that. I can't speak for you. I can't speak for what you should or shouldn't do. Okay? I can't do that. I can give you insights into different mindsets behind my thought process, but that's about as far as I can go. First off, fuck Apple, right? I have big fat zero love for Apple. I don't own not one Apple product. I don't care about Apple. I don't care anything about it. If they were to fall under today, I don't care. Right? I care zero about Apple. Overcharging for their fucking stuff and all those products that got stolen. I don't care about those products. I don't care that Apple lost money there, but they probably didn't. But either way, I don't care that store got robbed. From an Apple standpoint. No care whatsoever. What I do see, and the question I do ask, is the same question I opened the whole issue here with. What kind of world do you want to live in? Because right now, what just happened there happened to Apple Store. Fuck Apple Store. My question to you is what's next? Where does it go from there? We see those guys leave, and that's that, right? I mean, we don't know anything else about them. We don't know if they were caught. We don't know anything. We just saw what happened. But I can make a lot of assumptions and guesses as to how things could play out. I love to play the scenario game. If you guys listen to the show any length of time, you know I love to play the what if and the scenario game, because that's the way my mind works. My mind runs everything in a chess format. I'm constantly thinking many, many moves ahead. I'm always thinking of the long game. So, people have asked me, they say, would you react? What would you do? I don't know. Me? I probably would not. I obviously probably couldn't stop all of them, but I guarantee you this: what they were expecting was an easy target, right? I guarantee that if one person would have grabbed one of them and threw him to the ground, everyone else would have responded as well, and everyone else, all the other guys would have hauled ass out of there. Now, people say, well, if you do that, you're liable to get charges put against you, you're liable to get arrested, and this and that and all this. You may. You may do that. That may be a possibility, and that's a question you have to ask yourself. But again, I go right back around to, what sort of world do you want to live in? Who cares whether you like Apple or not? Right? Who cares? The fact of the matter is let's remove Apple from the equation, okay? Completely remove Apple. Let's just say it's a mom and pop store. Or let's just say a store. Do you want to live in a world where people just walk in, a gang of people can run into a store, steal whatever they want and leave? With no consequences? Is that the kind of world you want to live in? If that's the kind of world you want to live in, by all means, watch it happen. Right? Who cares, right? If that's the kind of world, if you want a world where you can just run in somewhere and steal some shit and leave with no consequences, if that's the world you want, hey, have at it. Sounds like a glorious world, right? Everything's free. Everything's free. The problem is everything is not free. Because everything is interconnected. I know everything seems separate. This seems separate from that. And separate. Everything is interconnected. There are reverberations that echo through the line of through the chain of causality there. Okay. Is that the kind of world you want to live in? Do you want to live in a world where people just go in and take what they want? Because once you accept that world, there are other things that come with it. You also are going to say you accept the world where your wife can be walking down the street, some jackass gang can run up to her and grab her, punch her in the gut, and take her purse and run away. Well, that's not what happened there. This was just attacking a store. But things escalate, don't they? Because if you say it's okay for them to go in here, steal this and leave just because it's Apple, then what if these same criminals perceive your wife, who may be middle class, who knows, or maybe she's just wearing something nice that day, and they perceive her to be of the same level of wealth as someplace like Apple. So they say, I'm going to run up and steal her purse from her. Right? That's okay. Because if you accept one, you have to accept the other. Well, one's a crime against me. But see, the problem is you've already accepted that it's okay. You see, let me explain to you something about the criminal mind. Let me explain to you something about the animals that do things like this, okay? They don't give a fuck about you. They care about you about as much as they did taking shit out of that store. That's reality, folks. You can't just say, well, you know what, it's okay for you to rob here, but it's not okay for you to steal anybody's purse on the street you want. It's okay for you to walk in here and steal, but it's not okay for you to walk in my house and steal. No. Criminals only hear steal. That's all they hear is steal. So if you give them the ability to steal here and say it's okay, well, you are opening the door to a can of worms. My friends, knock, knock, you've opened up Pandora's box. So we have to ask ourselves these things. We have to think about long-term consequences here. Long-term consequences. That's the big kicker that people don't understand. That's one of the reasons why, one of the things that kick-started me into my health kick thing was looking at long-term consequences. I come from a family of people who, quite honestly, don't have the best health in the world. Then I see somebody close to my wife's family, or say close to part of my wife's family, her brother has a heart attack, and it clicks in my head like, maybe you better start paying attention to your health, Odinson. And, I fucking buckled down. You can do it too, man. Our sponsors, PTAFs, p-tafs.com. Check out Air and Cable. It's easy, right? I'm putting this shit out there while you're listening to this show, eating your lunch. Think to yourself, maybe I should check out PTAFs with Air and Cable. You can find a link on our show notes. Matter of fact, on the front page, I have sponsors on the side. There's a nice big link right there that you can click that says PTAFs. It'll take you right to the webpage. No mental calories expended at all. But we have to ask ourselves, man, like, what kind of world do we want to live in? I mean, if you want a world of absolute fucking chaos, like we want chaos where you can steal what you want, take what you want, rape, pillage, plunder, shooting people in the streets. If that's the world you want, shit, I mean, you have to be willing to accept everything that comes with it. Because that's a lot of times with people that talk about things like eugenics, right? I will see lots of people in the mass groups talk about eugenics, right? And for some reason, I always ask them, I said, do you think you're part of the club that doesn't get wiped out? If you are, let me know. Where's that membership card? That's the problem. Like, well, we just eliminate the trash. What if the people who are doing the eliminating think you're the trash? See, there's a problem here. All right? This is where the problem comes in. And we have to think about, long game. What's the long-term consequences here? Right? Let's just say we're playing the what-if game because we don't know. But hey, a criminal's a criminal is a criminal, right? So let's say those gentlemen stole those products to go out and sell them, make some money to now buy guns. All right? Buy some illegal guns off the street. And they use those guns later to commit drive-by shootings that kill not just the bad guys, but all the civilians that are around there. Fuck those people. I don't know those people. What if it's your wife and child that just happen to be having dinner at outside of a bistro somewhere? What if that's the case? What if they take those same Apple products they just stole, take them, sell them, right? They sell them, and then they get some drugs in to resupply their drug line. And then they sell heroin to your brother or sister who is shooting up in a car somewhere and overdoses. How about that? Right? There's long-term consequences, things that echo throughout the timeline that people don't think about. All we're doing, most people have blinders on and looking straight ahead. Well, that doesn't affect me. Well, yeah, it does. It may. Right? You don't know. You have no idea whether it's going to affect you or not. The fact of the matter is, who knows? That one little thing may send reverberations through the timeline that catch up to you 2 years from now. Cause and effect. And at the same time, we think to ourselves, we say, okay, well, why should I even care? What could I have even done? And again, that's not for me to tell you. You have to decide what you could have done. And you have to be willing to live with the consequences should you do it. But any decisions you make that involve getting involved in something like that, the big question that decides action or no action is, what kind of world do I want? Do I want a world where this is okay? That's why I have a problem with fucking drug dealers. I see the long-term effects way ahead of time before they happen. Prime example. Let's take, for instance, let's say, I'll story about myself here, but I'll play the what if. I've told you guys on here before how every now and then because of something I predicted 10 years ago before I moved into this town, because I could see the little things happening, and I saw the thin veil that was protecting us from the riffraff that surrounded us. I said, there's going to kind of come a point where the lines are going to come down, and then the cancer that surrounds my little town is going to start rolling in. And it's happened. Okay? Take the park across the street from my home. I have run off, as it stands right now, I have run off 2 individuals over there who were selling their shit, selling their fucking drugs. Run them off. One of them, all I had to do was show him I was walking around. The other one, let's just say I made my presence known to him a little more than normal. Okay? I'll leave it at that. But guess what? They don't come around here no more. Okay? Now, do I care whether or not they sell drugs to people that may have them overdose on the street? No. I don't give a shit. You want I am not, if you want sympathy here for the drug use, it's a disease. It's not a disease. It's a fucking choice. If you choose to shoot yourself up with fucking poison, call me heartless, I don't care, but I have no desire whatsoever to see those people revived. I don't. You made a stupid fucking choice. You live with the stupid fucking consequences. That's how I roll. Okay? But in the grand scheme of things, this guy's over here making money, right? He's fighting against the system. You know, is it affecting me directly? I'm not buying nothing from him. He's not selling on my front lawn. Why do I care? Long-term ramifications. Because I ask myself, do I want to live in a world, more importantly, a town, small town, I mean, we got less than 800 people here, a small town where it's okay for people to be doing drugs, selling drugs across from my house? Maybe that doesn't bother you, but I got a big fucking problem with it. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, one of the main reasons I have a big fucking problem with it is because I think long term, I think of a lot of what ifs, and a lot of time my mind goes to dark places. So let's say this guy, we're going to play the what if game. Let's say this guy's across the street and he's selling his dope. And I'm walking out to, let's say I'll use my wife for example. Let's say my wife is walking out to her car. And she sees him. He sees her. They lock eyes for a second. She looks away, grabs her stuff out of her car, and comes back into the house. A couple hours later, cops pull up and arrest this guy. Because a lot of times our legal system fails. Let's say the guy's out on the street the next day. And he says, you know what? I bet you it was that bitch across the street that called the cops on me. Right? And then one day, when she's going out to her vehicle, he's out there waiting. And his car. He shoots her twice, gets in his car and leaves. Not a goddamn thing I can do about it. At least then. Trust me, there ramifications with that timeline would be catastrophic for a lot of people. But that's something I think about. That's where my mind goes. Let's say, same scenario, guy selling drugs across the street. Rival gang does not appreciate him being there. So one day, they decide to drive by this park and empty their pistols and rifles at this guy. Well, magically bullets go through things and they don't always hit the target, so you can't call them back once they go. You can't tell them, I want you to hit this guy right here and don't miss, because a lot of times these motherfuckers miss. And now those bullets go through the front of my house, injuring my family. These are things I think about. Let's say some tweaker over there, he wants to get his fix and he don't have enough money. So he looks across the street and says, well, that's kind of a nice house. And it doesn't look like there's anybody home. So I'm just going to go over there and break in. Then he breaks into my house. Then my dogs confront him. And let's just say the motherfucker's got a knife and he kills my dogs. Well, and robs me. Just as with my wife, there are ramifications that are catastrophic for a lot of individuals should that happen down the timeline. So these are things I think about. Long-term what ifs. Oh, Odinson, that'll probably never happen. I don't know that. But I do know one of the things I can do to mitigate that from happening. I can march my fucking ass over there and tell him to get out of here. Right? Most of those guys want to operate under a realm of secrecy. And you may say, well, you know, if you do that, when you go and do that, you're making yourself a target. I'd rather make myself a target, myself personally a target, rather than any of the other scenarios I threw out there. If I remove... These guys just want to make money, okay? These guys just want to make money. These are low-level fucking dealers. They just want to make money. There's plenty of fucking places they can go to sell their shit. Just not here. It's real simple. And just for the record, the motherfuckers I run off, I ain't never seen them again. So maybe they understood what I was saying. But we have to think long-term. Long-term. And you may get arrested or you may get shot. You know what? Justice be done, may the heavens fall. That's where I come in on this. There's always a ramification for action, but there can also be a catastrophic ramification for inaction. Everybody always looks at the action, right? Don't do that or you'll get arrested. Don't do that. You may get this. Don't do that, because a lot of times not doing something can lead to a much bigger problem than actually doing something. Most people, in ventures that they fail not because they acted too much. They fail because they had inaction. This is no different. You know, guys will build a business and they're like, all right, doors are open, come on in. Nobody's coming. Why aren't people finding me? They're not putting in the work. You know, we see this with a lot of things around us now. A lot of things around us now, we see the same thing. You know, the open door policy for illegals. The refugee crisis that's going on, where they're bringing in fucking invaders, opening the doors here and letting them in. That's been stopped somewhat, but it's still happening. We have sub-Saharan Africans, Somalians in some instances, moving into the area around me. This is farmland. What the fuck are they going to do here? Just to let you know, those people aren't very good at farming. You know, these same people that are draining, these are the same people that are draining the West. These are incompatible cultures. They had no part in building it here. That's the thing that's really crazy. People wonder why it doesn't work. You can't take people who had no part in the building of something, bring them in there and expect them to give a shit about it. That's just not the way the beast works. You know, I see the same thing with, and I get a lot of critique for this, but hey, fuck it, I don't care. Truth's the truth. When you see low-income housing moving into your area, guess what? Guess what? There are some good people that need help, but a lot of times that brings in the worst of the worst. And a lot of times how that rolls in is a lot of times it's minority groups. They bring in the worst of minority groups. And you know, there are some really, really good people that are mixed in with these groups. There's some really good people. But the unfortunate fact is there's more bad than there is good. And that's not me saying that, that's statistics saying that. That's my own two eyes seeing that. Drive through. I used to paint houses for low-income housing units. I used to paint the apartments there. That used to be a job that I did when I was growing up. And let me tell you, I've seen some shit. When it got dark around there, man, you better make sure you're out of there before it gets dark. It's going to get bad. You know, I can even look, You know, what do these low income housing units usually bring with them? Crime, drugs, gangs. It's plain and simple. Areas in Colombia where I used to live at used to be really, really nice, affluent areas. Now you go there, they throw in low income housing, big fucking apartment complexes. It's a shithole. And you're lucky if you don't get shot going through there. The crime wave that started to roll into my small town was oddly enough followed by low-income housing moving in. And that's a harsh, harsh pill for people to swallow. I mean, that's a pill the size of a fucking football. But it's the motherfucking truth. That's what happens when you give people shit. When you give them free. When you give a parasite food, the parasite grows and gets bigger. And multiplies. And no, I'm not saying get rid of low-income housing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you what that brings to you. Because most of those people, they're in a hole. A lot of people, when they fall in a hole, their mentality is, okay, I need to find a way to climb out. No, these people throw down a fucking picnic cloth. You know, they got a little picnic cloth down there. They got them a little bag lunch that was given to them. And they'll sit down there and fucking live in this hole. Right? They'll put them a TV there and, you know, and put a satellite dish up. They'll live in that fucking hole for the longest time because they're getting shit for free. You cannot expect people who get things for free to have any sort of respect for the very system that they take from. And they're going to always look at everybody else as having more than them because they're not willing to do the work to get there. I mean, it's a harsh truth, man. It's a harsh truth. You know, like, why is Chicago a shithole? Take a guess. Why is Atlanta a shithole? Take a guess. Why is Baltimore a shithole? Take a guess. Right? I mean, it's not difficult. Charlotte. Fucking Charlotte, North Carolina. I didn't even recognize the place last time I went. Why is Columbia the capital, or the capital here? Why is this a shithole? Take a guess. I've seen it. I went to visit my wife's grandmother. I went to visit her in Charleston, North Charleston. North Charleston is a shithole. I went there, and you know, I'm sitting there, and you know, I'm talking to them. They're like, "Man, there's been a rash of break-ins. There's been shootings. We had a couple nights ago. We had helicopters circling, and we got a call saying, "Stay in your home. There's a gunman on the loose." And I'm looking around, and I'm like. I'm pointing, I'm like, low-income housing apartments, low-income housing apartments, low-income housing apartments. I mean, fuck, it's not rocket science. We have to recognize there's a fucking problem there. Like I said, that hurts a lot of people's feelings, man. It really does. But hey, I'm not here to pet your feelings, right? And make them nice and calm. Oh, it'll be okay. I'm sorry. No. I'm here to shake you up. I'm here to give you that hard pill to digest. But it's the truth bomb. That's what it is. Same thing with we see the same thing with the heroin epidemic, right? Oh, what are we going to do about all those heroin problems? I got a good idea for you. How about every time you find a heroin dealer, you put a fucking bullet in their dome? How about that? How would that go? Would that fix things? Would it? I mean, let's just say you're a heroin dealer, right? Every single night you go out to peddle your shit, maybe the night you get shot in the face. And hell, maybe that's the case the way it is now. But if it was open season on those guys, if we made it more than just a issue of going to jail, imagine every time they go out, they would have fear. Knowing that there's not going to be any arrest, there's not going to be any incarceration, there's not going to be any talking to, no probation, no fine. Nope. You're getting shot in the face. Bullet to the dome. All the people that are shooting up. Hey, we're not reviving you. You want to shoot up with that poison? Let it be known that you're playing Russian roulette. Oh, we have to provide care for people. No, we don't. No, we don't. Why? These people don't give a shit about their life. Why are we giving up our precious resources for them who care nothing for their life? Because let me tell you, the same people that do that, I see, places where, I saw a video today of this white dude in a vehicle, shot up, fucking passed out. And they're over there trying to revive him. Fuck that guy. He is going to be the same parasite that, just like all these other people that are living in low-income housing. That's what they're going to be. And I know I've been ranting and raving and bashing low-income housing, but here's the thing. People that use that correctly, they use it as a means to get on their feet. Right? So same with people that use welfare, same with people that use food stamps. I am not opposed to people having such things. Unemployment, I'm not opposed to that in the least bit. But those government assistance programs are designed to assist you back to your feet. These people don't use that. They live off of it. That's where the problem comes in. Well, if they don't have food, they may die. Made a choice now, didn't they? That's where I'm at now, guys. I'm sick of fucking coddling these people. Because I don't want to live in a world where I have to get up and work my ass off every single day, hustling, grinding to make a living, and spending time away from my family making a living. And watch these people. I got a motherfucker that doesn't live far from here, low-income housing. Watch him sit in the fucking park and play with a drone all day. While I'm out here fucking working. That's not a world I want to live in. That's a world you want to live in. Hey, enjoy it. Have at it. Enjoy yourself. That's not my thing. Because this empire that we're waiting for to fall, it's going to limp, crawl, and drag its ass all the way to its to the spot where it decides to lay down and die. The problem is the way the world is interconnected now. This isn't Rome. Okay? It's not going to fall apart and we just roll in and go, it's ours. The tribes have taken over America. No, that's not what's going to happen. When the American empire falls, there are plenty of other nice, large, interconnected empires who will gladly pick up the scraps. It ain't gonna be you and I. Okay? So we have to start deciding what kind of world do we want to live in. And when we come to the point where everybody else wants the scraps left over, after, let's say the empire falls and everybody wants the scraps, don't get me wrong, there will be a tribal war here. It will be. But there will be larger empires that roll in as well. And you will have to fight them. You may get crushed. You may win. You may lose. Either way, you have to make that decision. What kind of world do you want to live in? You may choose not to fight. Maybe overwhelming odds. You choose to live in that world. Maybe you choose to fight. You may die. You choose to live in that world. That's the world for me. When I talk a lot about the Republic of Pirates, that's one of the things you always saw with the Republic of Pirates. Those guys, man, they were tribes of men that couldn't get their shit together. Maybe they would have been able to do something to fight back against the Empire. Maybe. But you see, the way I look at something like an empire falling, I look at regions that will be controlled by certain factions. That's what when you look at the classic fall of empires, that's what you see. Controlled by factions. There are certain areas that if the tribal alliance is strong enough, they may be able to hold. It may become too costly for a larger empire to go there. Just let them fucking have it. But you're on your own. You can't leave. Okay? We've seen that happen in places like Afghanistan. We've seen that. Small groups of people have been fighting large empires for a long time. You could even go date back to Rome, where a lot of the Germanic tribes were doing the same thing. That's why I tell you guys, fight is coming. The fight is coming, but the question is, until the fight arrives, there's certain things that we have to understand. Because if we truly believe that the fight is coming, we have to ask ourselves, what kind of world do we want? Right? Because here's the thing. These same people that are peddling their poison, these same people that you saw going into the Apple store and stealing all the shit and doing God knows what with it, trust me, they're not fans of Apple, okay? They're looking to make money, to fund themselves, fill their coffers up, right? Those are the people that are supporting that side of the fight. Because when shit falls apart, those people that are doing things like that, the drug pushers, the gangs, the groups that are willing to go in conjunction and steal out a place like that, those people are going to be the enemies. You see, I don't see people robbing Apple. I see future enemies whom I can put a dent in their supply line if I stop them. Because that's what they're doing. Man, I've been at gun shows before and watched gangbangers go out there and buy a shit ton of ammo. I mean, they're buying cases of ammunition. They're purchasing guns. I mean, gone are the days of the gangbangers using shitty guns. They have the ability to get better guns. Watch a series on Netflix called Dope and look at some of the gangs on there. These guys are packing AKs, ARs, Glocks. They're not buying shitty high points like everybody thinks. Alright? So when I see these people when I see the drug dealers out there, whether they're out there supporting themselves or whether they're out there working for another group, what do I see? I see a future enemy, and if I can get them to get the fuck out of here, then I'm putting a dent in their supply line. I am making the place around me better. You understand what I'm saying? One person decided to stand up in that Apple. Who knows? Who knows if people wouldn't have stood with them? Maybe not, but that's always a consequence of your action. However, should that happen, do you think the next time these guys go out and try to do one of their smash and grab things, that they might think to themselves, well, we may run into some problems here. Who knows? They may come back armed to the teeth next time. Hope you're armed to the teeth that day. Maybe you catch one of them. Maybe the rest of them run. Because let me tell you something. They'll scurry off like cockroaches. They won't save a falling criminal. Alright? Maybe you catch one of them. Cops arrest him. He goes and flips on his whole gang. You get them all put away. How about that? I mean, like I said, if you want to live in a world where your enemies, the people that if the empire falls, let me tell you something. I've said it many, many times. You look at how big the gangs and stuff are. Those are the tribes that are going to be the dangers. It's not going to be your small little groups of people. Those are the ones that are going to be the real dangers. Why not address them now? Look at Mexico. The cartel, unchecked for a long time. Now they've rose to power and they control that area. The Mexican government, police are trying their best. They don't stand a chance. They're outgunned. They're outmanned in many situations, out-trained in a lot of situations, and money-wise, the cartel's way far ahead of them. Because slowly but surely they've built up their wealth. We have to start thinking long-term here, man. Most of us, by the time this empire drags, limps, and crawls its way to its bitter end, we may even be gone. What do you want to leave your next generation behind you? Most of the people that talk about this, fuck them, just let the cities burn, right? Most of those people don't have kids. What are you leaving? What are you leaving for your kids? What kind of world do you want your kids to grow up in? Do you want it to resemble some third world country? I don't. I don't want that for my kids. There comes a point where we have to start. People will say these things and they'll talk and rant and rave, but there comes a point where we have to understand that words might not be enough. Words may not be enough.